Welcome everybody to the K&B Music Den. I am, as always, Brad. And you, sir?
Everyone's friend, Keith.
Oh, always everybody's friend. Today, we
I
are
try.
doing DISCNOLOGY, R.E.M, as we've been doing, album by album, as we've been doing. So we are up to Out of Time.
Yes, we are.
Now, this is overtime that we should have been doing this one because I had been reviewing, getting the notes ready, and prepared for Monster. Why, Keith? Why did I waste a week doing the wrong album?
I don't know, Brad, because I guess you decided on your own, without checking with anyone else in the world, including me especially.
Yeah.
That you decided that the album's Out of Time and Automatic for the People by R.E.M. just didn't exist for you anymore, apparently.
My God. I just skipped. I went right to Monster. So, everybody, I apologize. We're about a week behind because I had to play catch up, but we're finally here. We are at Out of Time week.
Yes.
So, Keith, what do you think here? We're how many albums in now?
Geez, well, let's put us on the spot. We did Murmur.
Yep.
We did Reckoning. We did Fables of the Reconstruction, Life's Rich Pageant, Document, Green.
Yep.
Right, so this is number 7.
Damn, good discography here, man. I'm telling you what.
And we're still less than halfway through because there's 15 albums.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, right, man.
So this one came out in 1990.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
So this is why we're such a big discography. I mean, we're 7 albums in, and we're only it was recorded in 90. It was released March 12th in 91. So we're talking about an album that's come out 32 years ago already. 32 years.
Yeah, you by the way, I'm sorry, are you talking about this album right here?
Yeah, I am. That's the one.
Right. What do you think of that cover?
I like the cover.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Simplistic.
Yeah. Do you know how they got this album title?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, you know how they love to play their little games in the studio and come up with a list of titles. Some of them hilarious, some of them actually, legitimate contenders. So let's see. Let's look at a few of the choices that were for this album. They were considering calling this album Cat Butt, Love and Squalor, which I actually like a lot.
That is a good one.
Fiction, which is cool. Imitation Crab Meat was another choice.
Not good.
No. The Return of Mumbles. Stipe's little jab at himself there. But, they had mostly just silly goof-off names, and they literally got to the point where they had to decide, we need an album title right now. And one of them said, guys, we're out of time. There you go. Sometimes when you try too hard and then when you just let it happen, it happens.
Sometimes the meaning isn't that important, apparently.
Exactly. It's about the music.
Well, in this case, it's always about the music. So, yeah.
Brad, I do want to pause for just a moment and thank you for being so forthcoming with our audience about your guffaw with this. Your guffaw is not the right word. That means laugh. Your gaffe, excuse me. So, a lot of people wouldn't come out and say that what they did and took.
But I spent a week researching the wrong album. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But the good news is when we get to Monster Week, you can freaking take the week off. Your notes are done.
Yeah, I can.
I'm going to be scrambling.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm set.
I'm going to be all like freaking out. So yeah, man, Out of Time. This is, like we said, the 7th studio album, the second one with Warner Brothers with their huge deal that they signed. Again, they're playing some games with us, having some fun with us with do you know the side names, side A and B for this one?
Sure, dude. We got the time side and the memory side.
I like that.
I do too. Yeah.
Out of time, yeah. So, this, when they went in to record this album, it was a bit of a different scenario. They had just come from a long, grueling world tour for the Green Album. They did about 130 dates in 17 different countries.
That's insane.
That's a lot.
You ain't kidding there.
I mean, you got to think they had, they had several hits, bona fide hits under their belt. Not just stateside U.S. hits, but international hits.
Yeah, but at this point, they are worldwide.
Yeah.
What's the word you would look at for it? I mean, they broke through at this point.
Absolutely. filling arenas, filling large clubs in various
Hmm.
countries that I may have never even heard of some of them. I don't know, but history was never my strong subject. Or I mean, what do you call it? Geography?
History. Okay.
But same, they got that wrong. But they took their time in the studio this time after that long, arduous tour, and they proclaimed to their new label that paid them a ton of money, quite boldly, in my opinion, as they headed into their second album of their deal, that they refused to tour to promote the new album. So, but it also gave them the freedom to create an album that didn't have to be recreated live.
Which is nice. Which is
Yeah,
nice
which
because it allows you to play with different sounds that you wouldn't elsewise be doing.
exactly, and it clearly shows in the music. So they were kind of, by their own admission, kind of bored with the standard, guitar, bass, drums dynamic. As we can hear on the album, Buck plays mandolin. He plays bass sometimes on this album. This is
Hmm.
another thing about this band that we've talked about a lot that we love, is that they're multi-talented. They're, usually there's only one member of a band typically that ends up being what I call the Swiss Army knife. The guy plays a ripping guitar solo. The next song he sits down and plays the piano beautifully. But they've got, Mike Mills is their guy for that, of course. Generally speaking, but they all do it. Bill Berry plays bass, he plays guitar. Mike Mills played the organ a lot on this album.
Hmm.
He did play some bass, which is his main instrument, and he did play guitar, of course. Um, they actually wrote a bunch of instrumental songs, a lot, for Stipe to consider. The first 6 weeks they were in the studio, Stipe was not there. They were just creating instrumental pieces for him to work on. So that's kind of interesting. The
Oh, we
album
should
was
stop too and say happy birthday to Michael Stipe. We missed it yesterday.
oh, how was it?
Turned 64 yesterday.
Oh, my 64.
Yeah,
Wow, he looks great.
he does, don't he?
Yeah, they could still tour. They could do another album.
Absolutely. I'm still waiting for it. I think it might happen.
Dude, it would do wonders for our channel. That's why they should do
Yeah.
it. Excuse me. But the album was recorded in Athens, Georgia, and in Woodstock, New York. Did you know that the album was mixed at Prince's Paisley Park studio in Minnesota?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. So, consciously or not, they recorded an album that would be nearly impossible to perform live, like I mentioned already earlier.
Hmm.
Lots of strings, lots of guest stars in the vocals and things like that, which we'll get into, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this is a really strong album of theirs, in my opinion. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say as we go song by
Certainly.
song. So let's dive in, and we start with radio songs. So the first thing you hear on this new R.E.M. album that we've been anticipating, if you were following along at that time in
Hmm.
1991, first thing you hear on this album is not Michael Stipe's voice.
No, it's not.
Who is it?
Who? I'm not sure who that is.
That's KRS-One.
Is that KRS-One?
Yeah.
See, but I wasn't sure. But it was an
Yeah.
interesting way to start the album, where it's
Yeah.
like a radio sound coming in.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Can't find nothing on the radio.
Yeah.
Hey, turn it to that station. And then the chiming Peter Buck guitar comes in and just
Mhm.
grabs you. Now the lyric that I pulled from this song is not sung by Stipe. It is a rap lyric at the end of the song, at the very end of the song, by the great KRS-One, who's the guest vocalist, obviously, on this song. And he sings, or raps, excuse me. Now our children grow up prisoners, all their lives radio listeners. So the song is called Radio Song. It references the radio a
Yeah.
lot. And then at the very last second, your guest star rap icon, KRS-One, takes a big old dump on
On the
radio
radio.
programmers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they don't want to be on the top 40, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. So this to me, and you can help me out here, this seems to me like a song you either love or you hate. Like you get it or you don't get it. Because it's very, very different from what they had done, anything they'd done before. Like I said, the first voice you hear talking is KRS-One. It's not Michael Stipe, but then he comes in singing beautifully, of course. So what are your thoughts on this as a song, but also as an opener to this highly anticipated album?
I think it makes sense. I mean, with REM, looking at their past albums, the openers are usually a little bit of a curveball or like a little bit of a. They don't throw a. I mean, I'm trying to remember what the past ones were. That some of them were singles, I believe. But you hear this, and I kind of like the way it opened up, like you said with KRS-One and the sound of it. To me, this was a good start. I liked the way it opened up the album. It kind of was a fresh, fun. I would say fun was the word I was looking for, kind of going into this one.
Yeah, fun, definitely fun. And you can add a letter to the end of that word. It's another thing. It's funk.
Funk, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, let's listen to that groove on that verse, man. When
Oh,
I got
absolutely.
into the show, and the organ, whack, whack. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
cooking, man. It's really cooking.
It is.
Now, it takes a jab at the radio programmers, obviously, but Stipe says, it should be taken with a grain of salt. And but Bill Berry actually took a little more of a tough stance with this. And he was quoted as saying at the time when people were saying, "Whoa, you're saying this about the radio, blah, blah." And he said to a reporter, he said, "We don't owe the radio shit."
Yep.
And
Yep. It's
he's
true.
right. He's
He
right.
is right.
But yeah, man. And actually, it's funny you said about fun because I have notes here that I'm looking at, obviously. And I'm saying all this stuff about there's a great funky groove and there's some sax parts. There's even some
Yeah.
strings on this song. And the very last word I wrote about the song in all caps was just fun.
It is. It's a fun song.
Same exact thing you said. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on the
So-
we're on the par on that one.
We're on the same page. So you can't talk about At a Time without talking about Losing My Religion, track 2.
Now this has been a fascinating one for me because
Okay.
you have that situation where you hear a song so many times
Yes.
that you just kind of tired of hearing it. I think as a band, you get tired of playing it. You know what I mean? Like it's just the repetition of it. It's just got so big that it's bigger than itself. So what I had to do is I had to literally sit there and program myself and say, look, you haven't heard the song before. You haven't heard it.
Yep.
You're going to put this track back on and you haven't heard this track. And I'll tell you what, when you just listen to it organically, it's an amazing track. It really is. There's a reason it got as big as it did. I mean, like you said, the mandolins, even the vocals, the lyrics. I mean, everything about it is just so big. You can understand why it got the way it did.
Yeah, you're well put. And I love the way you said, because I've done this a lot with different songs where it's like, gosh, you've heard this song a bazillion times. And, I'm sure that we're going to have the same type of discussion when we get to the song Everybody Hurts.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, take your history out of the picture, clear your brain, and just listen to the song. And then you realize very quickly why it became such an undeniable song.
And I think the mandolin was just, I mean, and who is that? You said that's Buck, right?
Yeah.
That's playing the mandolin on this. I mean, just absolutely gives it that sound that I can't think of another song that has that sound. Like usually you can compare a song to a song or like it's kind of, or you put it in a blender, or I can't think of anything that sounds like Losing My Religion. And it's because of the sound that mandolin got.
Exactly. And of course there were tons of copycats after this became popular. Oh, let's use the mandolin, and bands that built themselves around the mandolin as a primary instrument, and then bluegrass coming back. And I'm not saying they single-handedly brought bluegrass back because that was much later, with the modern bluegrass that we have now. But as far as a lyric, I simply wrote I think I thought I saw you try from the chorus. Just great. Now, I'm sure, as you know, and people talk about this a lot, the song was misconstrued, obviously, by the masses. Losing My Religion. Oh, it's satanic, it's whatever. Now, the song title is actually a phrase that's derived from the South. And it means, you're at your wit's end, or the end of your rope with a certain situation. Now, I've heard that and what it's about, but sometimes in my brain, for some reason, it was hard for me to fully process. So one of the guys in the band, I think in an interview, gave a specific example that made it click so much more for me. One of them, I forget who, I'm sorry, but he said, if you're in the car and it's just bumper to bumper, you would say to your friend, if you're in the South, maybe you would turn to your friend and say, if this traffic doesn't start moving, I'm going to lose my religion.
Yeah.
So, that context kind of helped me wrap my head around it. But, undeniable indeed. It went to number 4 in the US. The fact that it didn't go to number 1 is astonishing. Only 19 in the UK, which is weird. But this propelled the whole album out of time to the first number one R.E.M. album the album actually went to number one primarily due to this song.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this would go down as what, the top 2 or 3 R.E.M. song?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's for many people it is the top.
I mean, End of the World.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know, but yeah, it's got to be a top in the top 3. I mean, so
yeah. There's The One I Love. There's
mhm,
Everybody Hurts.
yep,
There's Man on the Moon. There's this Losing My Religion. This seem to
yep,
be the top tippy top ones for even for just for your casual fans.
exactly.
Um, we know better, right, folks?
But it is ironic that after the radio song, where you're kind of like, oh, the damn
Yeah,
radio, and then the next song you put out is a song that just blew the radio up for how
yeah.
long? I mean,
I didn't even think about that, and especially that it's the next song in the sequence right after radio
yeah,
song.
yeah, that's the one you heard on the radio all year long. Then,
Good observation, my friend.
yep.
So let's talk about track 3 now, the song called Low.
Hmm.
Um, I pulled out the great lyrics. I skipped the part about love. It seems so silly and low.
Yeah,
Low, low, low. Dude, I've always absolutely loved the song. I'm not gonna lie.
me too.
It's a very dark song.
Yep.
Um, Mike Mills' simple organ part and the bass dum, 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 really drive this entire song.
Hmm.
It's pretty simple musically, and maybe at the end it gets a little more beefed up. But it's interesting. You don't really stop and think about it because the song is just so well done. But there's really not an actual drum kit on this song. It's just Bill Berry playing the congas.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it fits the what's the word you would use for that? It fits the whole vibe of the song. It's
absolutely.
this
Yeah,
this is one of my songs. The songs for me that kind of stands out on this album. I really do enjoy this track.
I do too.
Yeah,
I always. It's haunting. It's different. It's a song that not a whole lot of bands could really pull off well, to be
no,
honest.
no,
Um, Now, Stipe says the song is about time, not about love. I skipped the part about love. Um, so that's what he's saying. Like, I'm skipping it. I don't want to talk about love, even though he says the word love.
yeah,
So it's kind of interesting. The song builds into that last verse, where Stipe's kind of deadpan baritone throughout the song becomes more of like a frantic tenor. Really, he really takes it up a notch. That is some of his best vocal work of his career, in my opinion, is the end of Low. You and me, we know about time, and he just starts, really, really digging into it.
I mean, that's
Um,
quintessential Stipe. I mean, the
it
ability
is,
to just boom, 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 move his vocals around effortlessly. I mean,
yeah,
I think that kind of showcases who he is as a musician right there.
agreed. And from what I'm hearing from you and what I know from myself, I think this is a standout track for both of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. So from Low, we go to a very different type of song, which is Near Wild
Wow.
Heaven. Not near enough, apparently. But so the lyric I chose from here is whenever we hold each other, there's a feeling that's gone. Something has gone wrong. And that's basically the first word you hear. But they're
Yep.
not sung by Michael Stipe, are they, sir?
No,
Who are they
no.
sung by?
Is this Mike Mills?
You got it.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, anytime something great happens on that album, it seems like he's got his hands on it. I mean, that
Yes.
guy, he's
Dude,
got to go
yeah.
down as one of the most, like you said, Swiss Army knife. That guy, he's the MVP for that band.
He totally is. And I think the true fans get that.
Yeah.
Um, and this is not to take put a slight or take anything away from the other guys.
No.
But like you said at one point in one of the early albums, he was the adult in the room. He
Hmm.
was the professional in the room. There's something about his uh, many, many layers of talent in that one person that really takes this band to a whole nother
It
stratosphere.
does. It absolutely does.
Really does. I love his singing voice as a harmony singer, and I love it as a lead singer.
Yeah, it works
Um,
great.
and again, they have a knack for knowing which songs that Mills should sing. Um, Now, again, I think some of this is that Mills usually isn't a primary lyricist, but some things he'll bring in where if he
Sure.
wrote a lot of it, it kind of just naturally ends up happening that he ends up singing it. That was the same thing, with me when you would follow, Rooster Stone and different
Yep.
bands that I was in. If I wrote the song, mostly, honestly, it was more of laziness than anything else that we would just have me sing it because I already knew how to sing it.
Yeah.
Um, so, but this song definitely has a Beach Boys inspired sound, man. The harmonies, the pop music, ba, 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 I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a burst of energy. It's fun. It's another fun one.
It is fun.
It's fun
It's
without having the
it's
silliness of radio song in a way, though.
it does. And the nice thing about this for me is it where Low stands and then this song comes on. They kind of have like a duality in sound. They're different songs, but for me, I
Yeah.
love the way they come in together.
Yes.
To me, this is another highlight. So when you went,
Yeah.
from Losing My Religion to Low to now this track, I mean, I was on a roll early on in this album. I was really loving everything I was hearing. So this track is right up there with Low for me.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, so far, what are we? 4 songs in.
And loving the album.
Yeah. I mean, they're all strong. They're well done. They're well
Yep,
sequenced. There's variety in the sounds. Um, yeah. I mean, so far, we're really doing well on this one, aren't we?
we are.
So now a bit of a curveball. We get to the song Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is a beautiful instrumental piece of music. Now, sometimes when people hear, maybe I'm guilty of this myself from time to time, when you hear an instrumental on an album, do you sometimes think, was this band being lazy and just didn't finish the song? Or is it having the wherewithal, the intelligence, the awareness, the instinct to know that this piece of music does not need lyrics or vocals?
To me, I mean, it's obviously an important piece of music for them because there's 11 tracks on here. We know they wrote more than 11 tracks for this album.
Yeah,
There's songs they scrapped and didn't make the album at all. They could have had 10 tracks. There's no reason they had to put this on the
yeah,
album.
yeah.
They wanted this on here. So to them, this song definitely stood out to them as something they think fit the aura of the album in general. And I
Yeah.
agree, it was a great way to just end the track. I mean, that first side, I mean, God, like you said, you had 4 bangers in a row there, like 3 really strong songs. So they just closed it out with a nice piece of music, which was beautifully done and I think fit the vibe of it.
I totally agree. And I think, this is another thing that separates a band like REM from a ton of other bands that are
Mhm.
good to very good to even maybe great. But REM is beyond being a great band. They're a special band, they're an elite band because of moments like this on albums
Mhm.
where they know, without bloviating about it too much, it's what they wanted to do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And whether, the label or the producer or the manager or whatever was like, well, we could get another, good song on there. Why are you just putting this little, dun-dun-dun thing in here? They knew that they were making art
Mhm.
and they knew that albums at that time, and they still do for a lot of people. It's actually coming back more and more, thank God. But albums mattered,
They
uh,
do.
sequencing mattered. How do you end the side A? How do you start the side B? These things were extremely important back in the
Mhm.
day of, vinyl. So now I found this quote. I thought this was very interesting. Michael Stipe said when someone was asking about this song Endgame, this instrumental piece, he said, I often feel that imposing a lyric onto a song limits it and moves it away from something that can be taken in any possible way,
Mhm.
which is interesting. But you can't take that too far. What are they going to become, like a jazz, freeform jazz instrumental band? I mean, you're taking away one of your best weapons, which is Michael Stipe. But I know what he's getting at.
Sure.
Some things. I mean, like, when we talked about the Pretenders, or I don't know. I don't know what will air in what order. But when we talked about the Pretenders on the Goldilocks game series, there's a really cool instrumental on side A, and I don't look at these things as, these bands are too smart and they're too good that it was just like, oh, well, we didn't finish this song, we didn't write lyrics, but let's just throw it on. It's a purposeful.
It
This
is.
song, this song stands on its own without. It doesn't need lyrics. It doesn't need melody.
And I think you hit on a good point. It's art. One of the things that's missing nowadays in a big, big, big way because of
Hmm.
streaming music is, like you said, the flow of an album, the art, the album cover, the lyrics. Like when we were younger, I mean, we worked in a music store. It was one package, the album cover. You would open it up, you'd put the album in, it would flow from track 1 to track 12. I mean, everything about the album was a thought out process and it had a reason behind it. So when you look at a song like, Low, when you don't hear what comes before it or what comes after it, it doesn't stand the same way. I mean,
Hmm.
the albums have highs and lows built in on purpose, and Michael Stipe wanted Endgame in there because he wanted it to end that way on that track. Where if you just were streaming and that song just popped up as a recommended song, it would have
Yeah.
no meaning. You go, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah.
But it's important. It's like you take art, and most people, like lyrics, you're painting pictures, you're drawing a family on a beach or something. Sometimes you have to Jackson Pollock it and just throw a bunch of paint on there, and it means something, even without having the background or the story. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think that's one thing we learned with REM is this is a band who understands art, and I think it's very important to them that it stands and moves the way they want it to go. And I think it's fantastic. Their art goes the whole way into what's on the album covers, how they
Yeah.
hide certain things, the way they name sides A's and side B's. I mean, there's so much that goes into their thought.
Oh yeah.
It's not normal.
Well, dude, everything you just said there was fantastic. And I'll take it even a step further. When I go to see a band,
Mm-hmm.
I I am very interested to look at their merch table,
Yes.
because if they have their most recent album pressed on vinyl for me to buy,
Mm-hmm.
they are in a whole nother category to me.
Yes.
They get it.
They do.
It's very important to me, and I know it's not cheap. I get that. But when I see a band like opening up for another band, let's say, and I go to the merch table and they've got a record for me to buy, they are at a level and a level of understanding more than anything else, that they get that it's art, they get that it's important. They
Mm-hmm.
want to leave an impression. They want to leave something behind. You
It's
know,
tangible. It's tangible art that you can. I mean, us nerds that we are with music. I mean, we want to open it. We want to pull out the liner notes. We want to see the pictures that are in there. We want to be
yeah,
able to read who played what instrument. We want to see what's behind the CD tray if there's a picture or not. We want to.
yeah.
Everything goes into the art of the project. I mean, these guys are artists the same way, like I said, Jackson Pollock is, or something where it's a physical, it's an audible, it's everything goes into the package,
It's a
and
whole experience. Yeah,
we're losing that now. I mean, we're with. I mean, who knows why there's even album covers anymore with the way streaming is? I mean, you just see a picture on there. It's like a little 1 inch square on your phone you tap now. I mean,
exactly.
we're losing
Well,
the big albums that you unwrap and pull the vinyl out of. And
but the good news is, my friend, the silver lining is some of these younger bands, everything old is new again,
yeah,
so vinyl sales have increased,
they have.
noticeably every
Yeah,
year for like a decade.
they have, which is good.
So yeah, so you're right to a large extent that your average person, and it's just like, all the, my daughter, her friends and stuff, it's all playlists. It's all
It
song and
is.
then this song and this song. And I get it, man, and some of that honestly could be blamed on the quality of the music that's out there today, as far as like, popular music, top 40 and stuff, because I don't think there's a whole lot of albums that are coming out now that are top 40 or very, very popular in mainstream that have an album's worth of really solid songs to listen to. So I don't blame them for picking out the 2 or 3 that are actually good.
I agree, but it's sad in a way because you take
Oh,
albums
yeah.
like August and Everything After by Counting Crows. To me, that's a
Oh,
world. That's like a planet. Like it exists in
yes.
a physical thing to me. It's I see the album cover, I see the words scrolled in the background, I hear the music, I can see everything about it is a planet. They created a world when they made that album. Now with these songs just being 2 minute sound bites on, it's not the same to me. You have to have you're creating a whole thing when you're making an album. You know, I mean, yeah, there's certain albums that just you show me the picture and I can picture 5 years of my life when I look at it.
Dude, it's unbelievable to me that you stated not just that band, but that specific album
Yeah.
when you said what you just said, because and we'll get back to this. I'm sorry, folks, but I will never, ever, ever forget when I was in my early 20s. I believe it was. I was living at home. I was commuting to
Mm-hmm.
college, and my parents went to Florida for a couple weeks, so I had the house to myself. I will never forget. I took that August and Everything After album. I cranked it up to an obscene level of volume, and I sat there with a bottle of something. I was
Mm-hmm.
by myself, and this is where I had to kind of check myself too. Like, you don't have a drinking problem, do you're drinking alone now? No, but it was just that moment in time where I was just sipping some whiskey or whatever it was,
Yep.
and I listened to that album start to finish at an obscenely loud volume, singing obnoxiously loudly and probably off key to every word. And
Yep.
it was just, and when you said that album is its own planet, that's what that moment was for me, and I'll
Yep.
never forget it.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I mean, sorry, R.E.M. fans, we just went on a 10 minute tangent, but that's that's what happens. I mean, when we discuss music, we're that into it. But I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
not
these
going to
records mean
apologize
to
for
us. That's
it.
yeah, I mean, that's what these records mean to us. I mean,
Yeah,
it's everything. It's the art, it's the music, it's they're creating life form when they're putting these albums out.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's why we get excited about
Well, I tell you, the folks at home have indulged us, so let's get back on track here. Um,
it.
but no, I enjoyed that conversation actually. So I guess "Shiny Happy People" is the first song on side B, right?
It is. It's the first part, not side B. What are you talking about? It's
Oh,
memory
I'm
side.
sorry, side memory. I I
You forgot
forgot
side memory.
memory. Yeah, yeah, exactly. See, because we're in this stretch of albums that I don't have on vinyl, so sometimes I have to make
Uh,
sure. I was pretty sure it was side B, or sorry, side memory started,
memory.
but
Yep.
I didn't want to misspeak. So we've all heard the song a bazillion times. You can take pot shots at it. You can say it's silly. You can say it's brilliant in its own way. Um, but I just want to, for the most part, discussing this song, I want to mainly just have a quick discussion asking you this question. Do you think that this song, Shiny Happy People, is a you love it or you hate it song, or do you think it's more complicated than that?
I think it's more complicated than that. I think because this was a single, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this was a radio pusher, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
So it has the same thing that "Losing My Religion," everything that everybody hurts, where you've heard it so much, and this one does have the ability to become over the top and obnoxious in the sense that if you hear it a lot, it will grind you. But I did the same thing I did with "Losing My Religion" with this. And I said, "No, you haven't heard this before. Let's listen to it."
Hmm.
It's a fun track. I mean, it's a good track. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess why I got picked for a single. And if I only had to, her vocals in the background can grate a little bit if you keep going. Like, but for 1 or 2 listens, it's fine. I enjoy it.
Well, it's funny you say that because Kate Pearson from the B-52s is the guest vocalist on this
Yeah,
song. To me, she makes the song.
really.
Yeah. I mean,
See,
yeah.
her voice, even with the B-52s, is one that just, I think there's just certain people have certain things that can get them. Her voice is rough for me. I don't know what it is about her. I'm sure she's a
I
great
mean,
singer, and there's a lot of people who love her. But
yeah,
for
it's very
me,
unique.
it's hard.
Well, I prefer her voice to the other one in the B-52s. Remember, Rock Lobster.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Knock a little louder, sugar. No, I'm kidding. Fred Schneider is a badass. I'm kidding. But dude, you know, I agree. I know that a lot of times when the band is asked about the song, they're kind of like, um, and I've heard videos, I've seen videos of other people online that say, some people only know like 4 or 5 REM songs, and the fact that this is one of them is a damn shame.
That is a damn
Um,
shame if that's the case.
I get that. I get
Yeah.
that. Um, but I mean, think about the bridge in that song. That quick little instrumental part that sounds like you're at the Renaissance Fair for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the,
Yeah.
the pop, the
Yeah.
pomposity, the sugar. That is a stroke of brilliance, that bridge. Um, and I put, if you listen to the lyrics, some of it's silly, but some of it is about, hey, let's all come together, be happy while you're alive. But the lyrics I pulled out are, there's no time to cry, happy, happy. Put it in your heart where tomorrow shines. Now, does this cross the line of what you sometimes use the word campy? Does this cross into the campy camp for you?
No, because I think the song is intentionally campy. I think the song
Yes.
is made to be campy. So
Yeah.
if you're playing your hand as here's a fun campy song for you, well then it fits. And I think that's what they were doing.
Intentionally campy. It's the
Yeah.
song, in other words, the song is very aware of what it is and it's
Yes.
aware of
It's
itself.
self-aware. It's
Yeah.
self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the song, I really do. Um, and uh, we talked about the bridge. Now, unlike Pop Song 89 and Stand, to me, this is a sincere, intentionally over the top, happy song. Like Stipe was even quoted, I'm loosely quoting here at this point, just from what I read, but he wanted people to laugh and smile and dance around and have fun to this song. It had a purpose and it went for
Doesn't
it in
he
a very
not like the
direct way.
song now?
Pardon me?
I feel like I've heard him directly say that this is a song he does not like now.
From what I read, I think it was more some of the other members of the band.
Was it okay?
But from what I read was interviews that were quite a while ago in the book I have. So maybe he has changed. I don't know,
Okay, that might be the case. For some reason, it's always been in the back of my head that Michael Stipe hates a song. So
but
I'll have to
yeah,
Google that. I
we'll
thought
have
that was
to.
going to
Yeah.
come. Yeah, usually you come out with that kind of knowledge, so I thought maybe that was coming, but
Yeah, we'll have to have one of our loyal subscribers
yeah,
fill in the blank on that one for us. So yeah, Shiny Happy People, it is what it is. I think it's a fun and upbeat way to start aside. I don't have any issues with it. Would it make an REM mixtape? Probably not.
no,
But again, part of that is because it's been played so many times. I'd rather make a mixtape of songs that I think people may not have heard that they should.
exactly.
So let's move on side B, or sorry, side memory, to the song Belong.
What do you think of this one, Keith?
I like it.
Okay, the draw that you had there, I think, is the same I'm having right now too.
Yeah, it's not a standout necessarily,
No,
but I do think it's interesting.
it is.
Um, and it's one of those songs that makes this album what it is, as far as there's these songs like Endgame, I guess, and Belong, that are not, you wouldn't necessarily see them coming, let's put it that way.
True.
But the album wouldn't be the same without them, if that makes any sense. But the lyrics, I pulled up, she took the child, held tight, opened the window. That wordless chorus, that
Mm-hmm.
is cool because the song is very much like a storytelling song. It's a narrative. It doesn't really need a sing-along explosive chorus. It doesn't need it, so they didn't give it one. Now, in a way, you could argue they did give it one, just with oh, whoa, whoas instead of
Yeah,
words.
which is of course.
But yeah, I mean, now Stipe has said, and it's been researched too, that the song is about the special bond, specifically between a mother and a child. Some of the lyrics were misconstrued. It is not, from Stipe's mouth, it is not about a mother throwing her child out the window.
Be more interesting if it was, I think.
Yeah, probably. Be a little messier, but Now, what something I did find out about this that I think you're going to really think is interesting, and then I want to hear more of your thoughts on "Belong." Um, Stipe thought that the vocals and the way it sounded, particularly in the verses where he's kind of like talk singing, he thought it sounded too like perfect and nice in the studio. So he took Scott Litt, the producer, he took his Walkman home. Remember the cassette Walkman?
Oh yeah.
He took it home and said those words and kind of sang, those verses.
Huh?
And then they took it from the tape that was kind of garbly and put it onto the track, which is why you get that cool effect. Now,
Smart.
nowadays, you just press a button and I want it to sound garbly. Like this
Yeah.
is you actually authentically made it sound garbly and supplanted it into the track, so to speak. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know specifically about that's how they achieved that sound. But that's one of my favorite parts of the song is that like when he's talking, it's just
Yeah.
like sounds like it's through some real crackly old radio or something. But the song is interesting. I wouldn't necessarily put it near the tippy top of the album, but I feel like I would kind of miss it if it weren't there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, this just definitely isn't a standout for me. It's not a song that I disapprove of or dislike. I mean, by any means, it's a solid track. But for me, this is a song that's leading up to another really strong stretch. So that might
Yeah.
also cause it to kind of take a hit on that front.
Now,
I mean,
does it feel a bit incomplete to you because of the oh?
a little bit. I mean, it's not to say
Yeah.
it's incomplete. I
Yeah.
think when I'm hearing it, I kind of went through a phase where between Endgame, Shiny Happy People, and Belong, it was a little bit of a go after that really strong start. I mean, it had a
Yeah.
really strong start. Then
Okay.
it hit this point where it just wasn't quite as strong, but it's coming back. There's another really strong section for me here, and
Man, is it?
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, let's get to that section. Um, Half a World Away, buddy.
I love it.
Um, yeah, it's definitely a standout. I think for both of us,
Yep.
it's pretty clear right off the bat here. It's a beautiful, melancholy song, simply about longing for a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, Stipe said it's a complete fabrication, but there's something there. Oh, he's always so mysterious with the reporters,
He's
isn't
got. He can never
he?
let anybody fool him in, can he?
Yeah, which is part of the greatness. Yes, part of the mystery.
Yeah.
Um, but Mike Mills adds a great harpsichord part to the song. And the lyrics I pulled out: "My mind is racing, as it always will. My hands tired, my heart aches." Dude, this song is gorgeous.
It is. This is a top two, top three track on the album for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so well done. Man, gosh. Think about how that vocal comes in. Uh this could be the saddest dusk I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's perfect.
This is one of their perfect. This is if I were doing a mixtape of songs I want that are like big radio songs that you will love, and this is gonna be an R.E.M. like greatest hits album, or if I was doing a this is my greatest hits album, I want somebody to hear
Yeah.
these songs. This would be on there.
Yeah. I think it would be for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, well, we pretty much covered that, how amazing that is.
Yeah.
We'll
Can't
just be
beat that.
repeating at this point, but so now we go to Texarkana, which here comes Mike Mills on lead vocals again, right?
And he's fantastic at it.
Yeah. He's got two songs that he sings lead on and this is great. I love the fact that a band that has gotten this big before this album came out, people were waiting, salivating, anticipating this album, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have absolutely, and Stipe is becoming kind of a celebrity in his own right. And they have absolutely no issues whatsoever. And if the label did, they probably told the label to F off. But they
Yeah.
have no problem at all with having 11 tracks, one of them being an instrumental, and two of
Yep.
them not being sung by Stipe.
So you're gonna have 8 Stipe tracks where he's singing.
Yeah, because
Fantastic.
they know themselves. They know what the song. When you know that I've been in and out of different projects of music
Mm-hmm.
for quite a long time in my life. But what people always say when you're in the studio, you have to serve the song.
Serve the song. Yep.
It's not about your ego. It's what does the song mean? What is the song telling you? So this song is telling us that it needs Mike Mills to sing it, and the song was right.
Hmm.
So I love where he sings, I would give my life to find it. I would give it all. Catch me if I fall.
Yeah,
um, just, and as much as we talk about the lyrics and the vocals, I mean, the way these guys play their instruments together is just
it's stunning. Yeah.
elite. Um, so again, we're talking about Mike Mills because he sings it, but even more than that, his talent across the board, like I said earlier, and the way that I feel like when Scott Litt got a hold of this guy as a producer, every album, if you really listen, every subsequent album, he used him a bit more
Oh
and
yeah.
just gave him a little bit more looseness on the leash, so to speak.
Sure.
Because he's smart. He's a smart
He
producer.
is.
Um, now the Texarkana, the song is named for a city on the border of Texas and Arkansas, but the song has nothing really to do with that. It's kind of funny. Bill Berry was quoted as saying about the little town there. He said, "It's a beautiful place, but you wouldn't go there for enlightenment."
It's one way to say it.
But then this is obviously just a fun, upbeat song. You know, it's just great. It's just
Yeah,
great.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it fits in with the sequence well.
It does.
Mills sings the crap out of it. Um, and yeah, like you said, this kind of half a world away, and then this one, it gets the album really full steam back on track.
Yeah, and we know what comes next. Then I mean,
Go ahead, man.
country feedback.
You start because I'm gonna have a lot to say about this song.
Well, I mean, you might be able to just take over on this. Then I don't have a whole lot to say. I mean, to me, this is just what it is. I mean, you went from half the road away, Texarkana, which is Mike Mills just killing it, and I have country feedback. And I mean, you just have three songs in a row that I consider great REM. And they did the same thing on side A, side time, where they had three phenomenal tracks in a row. So to me, I mean, I'm guessing this is your favorite, just the way you said that.
This is my favorite REM song, period.
Get out, period.
Period.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And let me tell you why.
Sure.
Um, they, and the story is known. I'm sure I'm not enlightening a big REM fans, but this was just basically, a handful of chords back and forth over and over again, just a simple musical idea that the band had. And, Stipe just came in and he kind of, stream of consciousness, spit fired these lyrics. He had a few things scrawled down on a piece of paper, legend has it. According to Peter Buck, he saw the paper after Stipe sang this in one take, and that's the take you hear on the album, by the way,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be what they call a scratch vocal, where you're just so everybody knows where they are in the song, and then you sing it for real later. So he's laying down what is just throw something on there, basically a scratch vocal, which becomes the song, which is an unbelievable testament to his talent as a writer and a singer. Peter Buck claims, we'll never know for sure, but Peter Buck claims that he found the piece of paper laying down after they recorded this in one take, and Stipe had a couple little doodles, like pictures drawn on there. There weren't even any words.
Oh my goodness.
So some people believe, and I'm one of them, that this all pretty much just came from his head.
Yeah.
Now, he probably had some ideas floating around, but in the moment, he just sang it. And it's such a small little thing to pick up on, but this gives me chills. In the beginning when he sings, this film is on a maddening loop, and then he goes,
Yeah.
these clothes, and then there's like a pause in the music, and then he sings, these clothes don't fit us right. And so he sings these clothes and he stops abruptly, and then the music finishes the pattern, and then it starts up with the first chord again, and then he goes, these clothes don't fit us right. That is proof that this was supposed to be a scratch vocal. Like, that is a
Yep.
mistake. That is a
Yeah.
mistake. But the fact that the whole take was so genuine and beautiful and perfect in its own flawed way, they could have easily in the studio muted out that first time he sang these clothes, and then it would all be perfect. But I think they left it in because it sounds like someone that is just spilling out all this stuff,
Yeah.
and was like, these clothes, oh wait, I'm not ready to say that yet. What do I want to say? Okay, now I'll say it. These clothes don't fit us right, and I'm to
Yeah.
blame. It's all the same. it's so it's a microscopic moment, but it's that to me defines what this band is. It's just they knew that that was the take. They knew that they could take that little part out and make it sound, more correct, and they didn't. And it's one of my favorite moments I've ever heard on a song
and
because
that's
it's just so real.
and that's perfect. I mean, that's the whole goes back to that you can't pay for that kind of a mistake philosophy where
Yeah, Ryan Adams and the Cardinals. Yeah,
it's going to stick with you more than if they would have just cleaned it up. So I mean,
and
that was a good decision.
yeah, and to know and to believe fully in this legend that he just spit all this out and it was like, oh, there's the song. Um, he's singing a paperweight, junk garage, winter rain, a honeypot, crazy. All the lovers have been tagged. This is primarily off the top of his head.
Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
mean, this is not a normal average mortal human being we're dealing with here. I mean, this is well, he's mortal, unfortunately, but
Am I weird
this is
to? This gives me a what's the wording I'm looking for here? Like a early sign of what was to come with New Adventures in Hi-Fi. This to me
yeah,
sounds like something that could have carried over and been on there in a sense, in the way that he was putting together the words, putting together the vocals, and the feel of the
yeah,
song in general.
yeah. Well, I didn't think about that, but you're right. Even if just off the top of my head, when you think of the song "The Wake Up Bomb"
Yep.
on New Adventures, where he's just yeah, tonic, supersonic, see ya, don't want to be a lunch meat pond scum. Like
Yep.
that's kind of like this, where it's just like what,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah,
it doesn't
absolutely.
make sense. Like it doesn't make sense, and it makes perfect sense all in the same
All
at
at
the
the
same
same
time.
time.
Yeah,
Yep.
which hey, you can't teach that in music school. so,
That's true. Yeah.
so but it's these projectile vomit lyrics, that we're talking about. It was that one take demo. And again, there are many contenders for my second favorite R.E.M song. There's a tie for that spot for about probably 10 or 20 songs. But if I'm being honest, this is my favorite R.E.M song of all time.
Well, that's saying a lot with the
Yeah.
discography they have. So
It's just
that
something
says a
about it.
lot. That
Something
says a
about it
lot.
that's always grabbed me. So wow, we got to move on from this because I'll talk forever about that one. So I do think it would have been kind of amazing if they ended the album with that song
I
and having
agree.
it trail off, but it was also kind of smart to not do that and kind of pick us back up for the end, considering how a lot of the rest of this album goes. It's upbeat.
Yeah.
You know. So we're ending with Me and Honey. Um, and your friend Kate Pearson from the B-52s is coming back to sing on this one.
Yeah. I don't love this song just because
Okay.
of the three songs. We had those three songs that came right before this. And that country feedback to me felt like that should have been a period at the end of a sentence.
Yeah.
I didn't need this one. I didn't need this one. I mean, what do you think? You're the closer. You're the one who we always laugh has the closing.
I,
You're really into the way you put a mark at the end of a sentence. How do you feel with it?
believe it or not, I think this was a really smart move.
You do
Um,
okay.
because having said that Country Feedback is my favorite REM song of all time,
Mm-hmm.
I still don't mind that they ended with Me and Honey because to lift me back up after that, which that song just destroys my entire being in a good way. Um,
Yeah.
but then to pick you up with it, that music creeps in and and that chorus left me to love what it's doing to me, and the all that stuff is
Yeah.
just so it's an earworm. I really like it. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah. And Stipe said it's a male perspective on pregnancy if you really dive into the lyrics deeply. But it's like I said, it's upbeat, it's infectious. Um, and Kate Pearson, I like her vocals on this song more than on Shiny Happy People.
Oh, I do too.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I figured you would.
Yeah.
And that outro of the song as the song is ending and the album is ending, where they're harmonizing, what about me? What about me? I love that. I just love that. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, overall, this isn't a bad REM song.
Yeah.
I guess I'm being picky about the placement on this one because,
Yeah.
like you said, it is nice to be lifted back up. But man, it's just so hard to close after you just went through that country feedback. I mean,
I see your point. Yeah.
it's hard. It's like you watch a fantastic movie and then that song comes on at the end and the words come up, and most time you don't pay attention to it because you're just like, man, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened here. Like,
It does actually feel like that, where
yeah,
it's like the movie ended with country feedback, and then it's like, well, what's this? Yeah.
yeah,
Um, but again, that's part of why I like it, because again, there's good bands, there's very good bands, there's great bands, and then there's elite bands.
yeah. I
And
agree.
I think because they're an elite band, they knew that they could pull this off and throw a little curveball here in at the end after country feedback, and that it would work, in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't. It's not bad. Like I said, it's not bad.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah.
feels. It
You know,
feels odd for it to be there.
yeah, and I do see. I mean, obviously, I would have never heard Me and Honey if they didn't put it on at the end here, and if it did end with country feedback, I'd probably be sitting here saying it's one of the greatest album closers of all time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So then there's that. So that's a interesting topic. But folks, we went off on a couple tangents here on this one.
We did.
But I have a feeling, a lot of R.E.M. fans are also Counting Crows fans, so I don't feel too bad about it. But so I tell you what, man, Out of Time, overall, compared to the ones that we've already done, we don't sit here and rank necessarily the whole order, but is this, what is this? This is the seventh one. So would you say this is at least, in your top 4 of the 7 that we've done?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. I have to think about that now that I asked you. Reckoning is very high for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're huge on Life's Rich Pageant still, right?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. I think this would probably be in the top 4 for me. Maybe at 4 if I think about it, but
I think that's the mine. Yeah.
yeah. Um
So what's next,
Mr.
Keith?
Well, I would ask you, but you'd probably tell me something wrong. So
Exactly. Exactly.
sorry, I couldn't resist. But if I'm correct off the top of my head, after Out of Time comes Automatic for the People.
I don't want to say a monster because then I'll be.
Yeah. No, don't get confused again. But dude, I mean, wow, we're gonna have so much to chew on that.
Yeah.
And folks at home, thanks for listening. And Discnology, it is what it is. It is a deep dive. We're not overly worried about the length of these videos. We're just coming in and saying what we have to say, giving some some factoids, which I hope you guys enjoy. And more than anything are just personal thoughts and takes on these songs, these albums. But Automatic for the People is just a landmark album by a landmark band, and I'm really looking forward to that one, man. I haven't really listened to that as a full album listen in quite a while, so the fact that we're going to be listening to that on repeat I'm already excited because I know what I'm going to be getting.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one quite a bit too.
Yeah. So, all right, the folks have stuck with us here, so let's wrap it up. But R.E.M. Out of Time, Discnology, Automatic for the People is next. Listen along with us, play along with us. For always, Brad, I'm your friend Keith. This is the KMB Music Den. Thanks for watching Discnology. R.E.M. Out of Time, Automatic for the People is next. Like I said, please like this video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you soon with more Goldilocks game, more album reviews. I'm sure we'll come up with other stuff too as the year goes on that just kind of pops into our heads. So if you have ideas for content, if you have a band that you love that maybe we haven't heard of, we should, tell us what your favorite album is. Maybe we'll review it as like a, throwback review or something. We're always interested to hear new music. And just discover new music and older music that we may have missed along the way, like we do with Goldilocks. That's a lot of what that's about. So thanks, Brad. As always, you come prepared, and like I said, once we get to Monster, you can take the week off. And see, I got to keep bringing it up. I'm such a jerk.
Oh, man, brutal.
Nah, I appreciate your honesty. So, folks, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. And this is the KMB Music Den. We're having so much fun. Thanks for listening. Thanks for engaging. Please, we love reading the comments. It's very gratifying. So, to all of you around the world, because I'm noticing, Brad, it's not just the U.S. We've got listeners all over.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
UK loves us, it seems like.
We've got some Mexico love, too, I've noticed.
Here we go.
So we thank you all sincerely. When we started this, like I said, I was joke, but I'm kind of not kidding. I knew at least my mom would watch, and sometimes I force my wife to watch some of these stuff. But the fact that people I've never met actually give a crap about what I say about music is pretty humbling and pretty cool. So,
Absolutely.
all right, Brad, I'm talking too much again, so just tell me to shut up.
Well, guys, it's time to do what? Like, subscribe, hit a button, notifications,
smash a bell.
smash a bell. I always forget about bells and smashing. Smash a bell, not a pumpkin.
Does it ring a bell now?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks. We're gone. Goodbye. See you.
Bye.